You see, they want to keep us uneducated and us unable to communicate and express ourselves, so that when we have something to express, we do it in a way that's ugly and negative, and in a way that other people would support people putting that person away, so that the other people can continue doing what they do.
Right.
Which I don't really understand, so. The media and the world and society is constantly trying to remind you of things that have happened and things that are to come. They never really want you to be in the present. Because like being in the present's pretty uncomfortable. And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe when people are in uncomfortable situations or they find themselves in places that is uncomfortable, it's just the fact that they're actually being present.
I think so.
And holy shit, is that uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every little kid is taught that they shouldn't talk to strangers. I mean, do you talk to strangers? How do you know if a stranger is worth speaking to? Hey kid, don't talk to strangers. Where's my daughter at? I'm gonna go get my daughter in here in a minute and tell her she's 3 weeks old, but she needs to know this.
Well, I feel like we're always looking to relate and always looking to find comfort somewhere and balance. And when you're in presence with someone who isn't like you, or with something that isn't like you, or like anything you've thought about, then you can't really be with it without feeling uncomfortable.
Have you ever experienced that?
Oh yes. Yeah, I feel like I experience that all the time. You know, just different situations that I make myself do, or other people put me through, or I just naturally wind up in, that generally I'm uncomfortable for the whole thing. But it's usually a positive discomfort that I can recognize, you know, this is my own shit. This is my own problem, and by putting myself through this, I'm expanding my comfort and my ability to be with difference. Well, I think people have from what I found, generally people have such a low awareness of themselves and of their own impact and of what they do. And then when they're with someone whose presence is so strong, or something whose presence is so strong that they're uncomfortable by it, maybe they don't agree with that person or what that person's doing or what is happening in that area. You know, it isn't always about people. You know, all of a sudden to protect their own ego, to protect themselves, they do things that are rude or hurtful or harmful, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And so the way I would explain it to them, I would just say, like, I mean, it takes a lot of practice. You can't just, I don't know how I would just say to someone, hey, like, can you be present? Like, do you understand what that means? Like, maybe people don't even understand that they're not being present. I can't define that word. I haven't figured it out yet. I don't know what that means. I'm trying to be free, right? But I'm constantly tied down by so many things, and everyone's constantly tied down by so many things. Like, I'm tied down by my own anxieties of myself and of the world. I'm tied down by my financial debt, tied down by my family. I'm tied down by the interrelationships that I put myself in, you know? It's like, spiritual freedom is the only thing I feel like we can attain. And spiritual freedom to me is just building up that hierarchy, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, finding like self-actualization. When you've got yourself in the point where you're balanced and you're present and you just accept, you don't always react. When you find yourself in the place where you don't always have to react, you're free. To be patient, to be kind, to listen, to be curious, strong, and to find that balance between passive and active. But does that mean any American I've ever really thought about has ever really, truly lived to that? I don't know. But to me, that's what I would like to portray as myself. That's the way I would like to live with those different things, live in that way, so that at least anyone who comes across me as an American woman, that's what an American is. But Americans, we're so versatile. There's so, I mean, everyone, we're so versatile. There's so many different types of people in America. Half the people in America aren't American.
Right.
You know, so America's ever changing. And it always has been. And we kind of have to remember that. But if maybe we stick to being kind and present and loyal to being kind and present and honest and strong, being strong enough to know when you're wrong and to know when to be weak.
I would rather give up my freedom to make sure that every single goddamn American child, including myself, is happy. You know what I want me to do? I'm fine keeping the Second Amendment. I'm fine with that. But I'm not fine with the fact that guns are so easily accessible. I'm saying make gun restrictions a goddamn thing.
Hey, let's repeal
That's
the
not
Second
enough in this
Amendment.
country,
Come on.
apparently. We need
Enough
more.
already.
Mental checks,
Let's get rid of
monthly
it.
checks, yearly checks. Shame on you.
Too many guns.
Shame on you.
We all have so much shit. And the only times in our lives when we don't have shit is like up until 5 years old. And then once you go to school, you have shit. All of a sudden you're a real person. You have these relationships your parents don't know about. You know, like all of a sudden you have this little bit of independence and the shit piles up. My shit pile is to the sky. And then the people who are actually trying to take care and do self-care and just take care of themselves, they can't. They're just getting kicked down because they're just trying to be human for 1 minute. Let's just be human, whatever that means. I feel like it would be Rachmaninoff's Vocalise.
Why that?
Well, there's a few reasons. And the first is because it's most commonly played on the cello, which is my favorite instrument in the whole world that I've ever come across. And then the other reason is because in my experience of performing that piece, as a vocalist, it's very difficult. It's all awe, and my mouth was open the whole time. And the melodic line and the way the dissonance happened and just the little intricacies, the way it builds and then falls, and it's just constantly moving in this emotive, just ambiguous way, but it's so balanced. And I feel like everyone always seems like Diana is so balanced. Even when Diana's sad or angry and expressing it still, she's balanced, she's with it. You can lean on her always. But then when you really pay attention to what's happening in that melody, it's about to
Fall off the rails?
yeah, and I feel like that's kind of me, you know. I'm always balanced enough to be there for someone else, but then when I think about being there for myself, yeah, and just with everything I've experienced so much trauma, and somehow I'm always okay, even while experiencing it. I never fall. But I feel like I could. I thought I had colon cancer, found out I didn't. Great. About a week after I found out I didn't, I found out I had shit going on in my brain, which was and it was like, I went to the doctor because I had always had like a weird thing going on with my body, with my right side and my right hand, and then I finally went to the doctor about it, and I found out, you know, I found out the truth. I found out it was like, there's actual shit in my brain. And so I left school with 7 weeks left for my degree, and thought I was getting brain surgery. And while that was happening, My sister, one of the most important people, in my life, who's always been kind of someone who took care of me, all of a sudden I had to be her caretaker while she was going through a psychotic breakthrough. And I was just in my mother's trailer with my mother, who's just, super neurotic, wonderful woman, but neurotic as fuck. And then my sister going through this mental illness that was taking over her, physically taking over her, and I had to care for her while I was also trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing, because I no longer was going to be pursuing the degree I was pursuing before. I broke up with my fiance, and I was maybe getting brain surgery, sleeping in my mother's bed. All of a sudden, the entire life I planned for myself, it changed my whole values and what I needed. My whole life, it was like, I was this kind of studious. I was never really that studious, but I really valued intellect, and I really valued learning in school, and especially in college. I had 4.0. I had the best scholarship you could have in the music department at my school. I had all of these things going on for me, and that was my focus, and I never sat for a second to just think about building me spiritually, building me emotionally, building me physically. And so now, that's what I value most, is building me and building the world around me, and focusing on those little things that create balance in my life, that create happiness, where I feel at peace, where it's not, I'm searching for self-actualization, not for society's success, because to me, self-actualization is success.
Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa was the sole sponsor on this bill that stops the FBI from performing background checks on people adjudicated to be mentally ill, and now he's stating for the record, well, it's a shame that the FBI isn't doing background checks on these mentally ill people. Well, duh! You took that opportunity away last year!
Well, no, I'm going to answer the original question.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, maybe a few months ago I would have said leaving New York and going to school in Virginia, giving myself that independence. But I've always been really independent. I want to say it was leaving my fiance, because that whole relationship started friendship-wise with me being a caregiver. And it never, so that was kind of, when I flipped that switch and when I realized all I've ever done is give, and even when I felt like I was receiving, I really wasn't. And when I'm going through the most traumatic experience of my life, when I think I'm dying, when I feel like I am going to die, literally, oh no, I don't have this cancer, it's okay, I have that cancer, it's fine. Cool. I'm gonna fucking die way right now. And the thing you're worried about is that I'm hanging out with this boy, and I've told you I'm hanging out with this boy. Well, guess what? Yeah, I fucked that boy, like a few months later, because you were so worried about me fucking that boy that night. And you couldn't even be like, wow, good, you're doing something for yourself. So I went off on a little tangent there, but leaving them was the best thing I could have done for myself, because it was the first thing I had done that I feel like was really for myself, and not for what anyone else wanted for me, and not for what I felt anyone else needed for me. It was the opposite of what anyone else expected, of what anyone else advised. Because, oh, you love her. Don't you love her, Diana? Yeah, I still do. But if they can't help me through the hardest shit I've ever gone through, if they can't be there for me when I'm changing as a person, fuck that. Lately I've been feeling down. All around me, yes, I have been down. Oh, lately I have been blue, but not sad. No, that just ain't the truth. 'Cause you see, everyone around me is dumb. They are angry and they are loud. And I just don't know what to do. From every angle I feel those feelings too. From every angle I feel those feelings too. I just wanna run away, but I'm tangled in the truth. I don't know, why do people want love? I think through love you discover yourself more.
Why are people so scared of intimacy?
Because through intimacy people find, through intimacy you're revealed in ways that you're not even aware of. And it's projected to others in ways that you aren't aware of, and other people are projecting themselves onto you through intimacy that they're not aware of, but also all of a sudden things become aware of yourself to yourself. You know what I mean? Like your own heightened awareness of different things about yourself are shown through that intimacy with another person. And then they are also experiencing you in a way that no one else has, and in a way you won't fully understand, but yet since you have that intimate connection, you know, and then the way you feel things, it's like they're actually there and you could grab them in intimacy. I think we all really want to change, but we're all really scared of what the change could be because we're all really scared of change. And since we have such a lack of understanding of the countries around us, because truly, we have such a lack of understanding and a lack of willingness to understand, that change, that media, and all the things that we as humans have created for ourselves are making happen. Because change is the only thing that can come from these things. And I really think it could be quite a positive change if we all can accept that, I mean, we're all in the wrong somewhere, and we're all just trying to work to make it right.
Yeah, we're trying not to kill each other.
Yeah. I am. Sometimes you would think in daily conversation with me that I'm not, right? But I really am, like when you get to the nitty-gritty of it, I really am hopeful that we'll figure it out, whatever it is, and I'm always hoping for that. I'm always hoping for people to be present with themselves, to realize shit is happening, and we are aware of all of it because we have the technology to be aware of all of it. So now we should ground ourselves, communicate, and move together. Because we've got a lot of land and a lot of people and so many stories, and
we can do better.
Yeah, we can do so much better. And you know, that's individually I can do so much better. I always can. So can you. And so can we as a whole community of this county, this country, you know, it's this state. Everyone can always do better. And if we could just be present with that, I'm hopeful for that.